Look, I have seen enough, ladies and gentlemen. I've seen enough. Erica Kirk should be dragged into a police precinct for questioning, like I said.
The woman who owned the store actually was confronted by the FBI and gave them the footage. But what they didn't know was she gave someone else the footage as well.
There's nothing to hide. I know there's not, because I've seen what the case is built on. Let everyone see what true evil is. Let everyone see and know.
Reportedly, a high-ranking FBI official issued an order to eliminate Tyler Robinson. And apparently, Candace Owens has the emails to back that claim up. With Tyler Robinson's trial drawing near, rumors circulating within TPUSA circles suggest that Erica Kirk and several other key figures are in a state of panic. The reason? According to Candace, Tyler Robinson did not murder Charlie Kirk. If that turns out to be true, it means Charlie's actual killer, or killers, are still walking free. But should Tyler ever reach trial, all of those buried secrets stand to be exposed. That's precisely what they're afraid of. That's why there's an urgent need to silence loose ends. Now, people everywhere are asking the same question. If Erica genuinely knew something was coming, just how far in advance did she know?
Tyler Robinson's defense team say, "We don't concede any of these facts. In fact, we're going to require them to prove every single fact relevant to the charge beyond a reasonable doubt."
As Tyler Robinson's trial inches closer, Candace Owens is ramping up pressure to force people to focus on the actual facts of this case, not the version the FBI or Erica Kirk's PR team is desperately pushing onto the public. As most people know, Candace doesn't amplify a theory unless something genuinely feels wrong to her. Here's where things start to get unsettling. People only began paying serious attention after Candace posted a tweet several days ago calling for Erica and all parties involved to be brought in for questioning. But it wasn't that particular demand that got people talking. It was what she said just before it. She stated that every journalist in America should be covering the fact that Erica Kirk's assistant was scheduled to attend UVU, but was pulled back because Erica's closest friend sensed danger. That single line stopped people in their tracks. If Erica's best friend sensed that something was wrong hours before the shooting even took place, does that suggest Erica was already aware that something was about to happen? And does it imply that others within Erica's inner circle also had prior knowledge? Because anyone familiar with Candace knows, she doesn't drop hints like that unless she has solid evidence to support them. And if her track record means anything, whatever Candace is holding back could be deeply damaging, not only for Erica, but for everyone around her who had any knowledge of this. Here's what makes it hit even harder. Candace has been suspicious of Erica and the FBI from the very beginning, and she made that clear early on. She never accepted the official narrative that Tyler Robinson was simply a deranged lone gunman. The moment Tyler was indicted, she posted this message to her Instagram story: "The indictment against the person who took Charlie's life has just been released, and this very much feels to me like we are being given part of the story, but not the full picture." That last line, that we weren't getting the full story, stood out sharply. But Candace didn't stop there. She kept using her podcast to highlight the inconsistencies in the official account. For instance, how did Tyler know exactly where to position himself to make such a precise long-range shot? Did someone inside Charlie's own team leak him a copy of the tent's layout? There was also the angle involving the transgender roommate and lover, which Candace felt was being used as a distraction. And then there was the most critical piece of the puzzle, the murder weapon, which simply didn't add up. The gun was reportedly a vintage World War II weapon, yet the firearm law enforcement presented looked far too modern to belong to that era. The entire situation felt too tidy to be purely coincidental. But this is where the story takes a turn, because Candace's most pressing question became, why was Erica so quick to accept that narrative and even claim she had forgiven the killer? To Candace, it appeared as though Erica was deliberately playing up the role of the forgiving Christian in order to shut down further questions about Tyler Robinson. But it gets even darker from there. Candace didn't receive confirmation of Erica's alleged collaboration with senior law enforcement until she received a tip from a former military staff member named Mitch Snow. Mitch described witnessing someone he was nearly certain was Erica at Fort Wuka just days before Charlie's death.
The head of security there, he was one of the people walking out with the congressman. Now, how would I know that? I just have a gift for recognizing people.
According to him, Erica, Charlie's head of security Brian Harple, and high-ranking law enforcement and military officials were all present at what appeared to be a high-stakes meeting. He wasn't certain what was discussed, but the timing is impossible to overlook. How does it happen that key TPUSA members end up attending a senior-level meeting at a military base just days before Charlie is violently attacked and killed in broad daylight? It was later revealed that Brian Harple had failed in his responsibility to maintain Charlie's security on the day of the shooting, a failure that effectively created a window through which the attacker was able to strike. Harple himself acknowledged that he had identified multiple security gaps at the venue days before Charlie was scheduled to appear there. He attempted to deflect blame onto law enforcement, claiming they had failed to do their part. Yet Charlie had placed his trust in Harple to protect him. So if Harple had even the slightest reason to believe Charlie might be in danger, why didn't he tighten security measures, or at minimum postpone the event until adequate police protection could be arranged? The deeper Candace dug, the more it seemed as though those closest to Charlie had been working to undermine him from the start. As if that weren't troubling enough, Erica and her team's response to all of this has been to shape the narrative in a way that serves their own interests. Erica actually went on record in an interview and declared that she had reviewed the case and was completely certain that Tyler Robinson was responsible for her husband's death.
To have seen the autopsy report, to have seen the different evidence portions that have been collected, I trust our team.
Viewers who watched that interview were stunned. She didn't hesitate for even a moment. This led people to conclude one of two things. Either Erica was bluffing in an attempt to paint Tyler as guilty before he ever had his day in court, or she knew with certainty that Tyler was the killer because he had been set up as the fall guy in a deliberate plot against Charlie. When her effort to sell that story fell flat, Erica appeared in another interview and attempted to mock everyone demanding transparency. She even went after Candace directly, accusing her of fabricating stories to profit off Charlie's death. The backlash on social media was already intense, but it exploded after a grok description of the events surrounding Charlie's death went viral. The description included the statement that Robinson later died by suicide. While many people dismissed it as a meaningless error from grok, others argued that such a mistake couldn't have occurred unless people were already openly discussing Robinson's death on Twitter. To those observers, it looked like Erica and the TPUSA inner circle were quietly laying the groundwork for a suicide narrative, so that if Tyler was eventually found dead, it wouldn't come as too much of a shock. What elevates this beyond mere conspiracy is the fact that Erica isn't even attempting to conceal her efforts to influence the Tyler Robinson trial. To those following the situation closely, it appeared that Erica's goal was to steer the trial toward a predetermined outcome rather than to uncover the truth, which is supposedly its entire purpose. The first move Erica made that drew suspicion was her request to fast-track the trial, citing her urgent need for justice for her husband. While she was entirely within her rights to make that request, by that point, people had shifted their concern elsewhere. They were troubled by the fact that Erica had already declared Tyler Robinson guilty before the trial had even begun, and without any concrete evidence that he had actually committed the crime he was charged with. That rushed judgment felt less like a pursuit of justice and more like a desire to have Tyler locked away as quickly as possible. Some observers went further, suggesting the real motive behind Erica's push to have cameras in the courtroom was to generate public sympathy and create the illusion that she had nothing to hide, while quietly playing a different game behind the scenes.
We deserve to have cameras in there. Why not be transparent? There's nothing to hide. I know there's not, because I've seen what the case is built on. Let everyone see what true evil is.
The question everyone is now asking is whether Tyler Robinson will even survive long enough to stand trial. Because at this point, the prospect of life in prison or death row isn't his most immediate threat. It's being eliminated before he ever gets the chance to tell his own story. Meanwhile, sources inside TPUSA say there is widespread panic among senior figures right now because Tyler could step forward with the truth at any moment. And if he does, There are people who will deeply regret that he ever had the opportunity to speak.